Boom, episode 28, we're back. Me, Rory Spooner, Spectacular with the Spectacular again. We got a lot to cover, an awful lot to cover. It's been an interesting round of fixtures. The transfers have started already. You may have seen Pulisic to Chelsea. We'll go over that in a bit. Samir Nasri has joined West Ham as well. Interesting transfer. But we'll kick off with the game of the week.
Already.
Now, I know you being a big United fan and me being a big United fan, we weren't necessarily rooting for Liverpool to win. But
No.
do you feel like they were maybe a little hard done by?
In a way, yes.
To a degree, yeah.
Yeah. So
What excellent start, by the way. Impartial start. I like that.
what I will say is that the goal that nearly was, it was 11 millimeters.
Oh my word, 11 millimeters, people. If you didn't see the game, and I told you all to go and watch the game, didn't I? Last time I said make sure you watch this game, and 11 millimeters separated the two best sides in the country. I couldn't believe it. By the way, how did have you ever seen someone get Megs down the line before? How did John Stones done that?
I said that, and I literally just out loud said, how was that not touched him?
It's incredible.
He's literally run like Roadrunner in towards the net, and it's just he has not made contact with it.
All he had to do was touch the ball.
Yeah. To be fair to John Stones, though, that is a miraculous recovery.
I say to be fair to John Stones, that mix up with Edison, again, if you haven't watched it, it's probably on YouTube. It's one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen, because it was like Sunday League defending. And we've mentioned over the past few episodes, City's defence, right, is not that great. And we'll go into that in a moment. But if you saw that on a Sunday League pitch, you'd be like, who the fuck are these guys?
Yeah, you
what
would
are
laugh.
they doing?
Yeah.
It was shambolic.
I would like to know which one of their faults it was, or maybe even it was the fact that just none of them put a name on it.
Maybe no one called,
Maybe
but
nobody
I would
called.
have thought Edison would have claimed it, but Stones just booted it straight at him.
It's a weird one, because it's like...
Would there have been a breakdown in communication, maybe? Just language
possibly,
barriers,
yeah.
maybe?
But it's like, you look at what Stones is going to do with it, and he looks like he's going to absolutely smash that well up the pitch, which is considered very, very safe. But then, on the other hand, when you flip it around, then if Edison's just going to just pile down in it and then just calm everything down, then it's equally just as safe. So it just looks like a really, really unfortunate mix up that is.
And if that had gone in from Salah, that would have been wild.
Yeah, but 11 millimeters. I actually saw a few tweets of people saying, it's only 11 millimeters, why didn't they just give the goal? And
it's
I was like,
the full ball.
I was like, it doesn't matter if it's 0.001 millimeters.
Matter.
Especially with VAR, and you can see everything, and goal line technology. But
is it Hawkeye, that technology that they use? Is the same in tennis, is it?
I think it's the same kind of system, maybe.
But different name, is it?
But like a different name.
It's incredible that, because everyone was waiting for the refs, the referee to look at his watch, or his watch vibrates. I think people let us know if that's not the case. But the play just kept going, and I couldn't believe. Just looking at the real time sort of replays and everything, it looks well over the line.
I would have been interested to see if we had gone a few years ago before we brought this technology in.
100%, there'd be controversy.
If
I think it would have been given.
A line official would have given that.
100% given.
Because now, the officials on the pitch now, when they see that in their head, they might think, I think that's over the line, but they know that that's not even it's out of their hands now, and they've got to let that go, and they sort of look around as if to say. And for a moment in that game, I myself thought it was a definite goal.
I thought it was a definite goal.
And I thought, oh, this is weird. I thought, have we just witnessed the first cock-up of goal line technology?
Everybody thought the same.
And then when it showed the replay, I was like, no, to be fair to it, they got it bang on the money.
And do you know what? I thought the referee, we'll come to him now actually, got the large majority of it right, bar one. And I think Company should have gone. From a completely neutral perspective, because I watched the game as a neutral. And by the way, fantastic advert for the Premier League as well. It was absolutely superb. Two quality sides. A quality we haven't
as well.
Intensity, skill, pace, everything. It had absolutely everything. Even atmosphere. We criticised the empty had over the past couple of weeks for not having an atmosphere, but it was bouncing in fairness. But the referee I thought he got that wrong. Straight away I saw it and I was like, Company's off the floor. He's reckless. And then for him to actually go and Did you see him call Salah a pussy afterwards as well? Have you not seen that video? No. I saw it in real time when he sort of leans over him and goes, pussy, like that. But some guy on Twitter actually put the video up and you can see him say it. So not only did he absolutely muller him, but he called him a pussy afterwards.
Have that.
It was great. It was proper bastardry.
Well, if I'm being honest, in real time, I thought it looked like a good challenge because the way the ball went in real time. I thought
it was quite nasty.
Because I was watching it in the pub as well, so I wasn't like right to the screen, but it looked from seeing it from a couple of feet back that because of the way that Company went in and the ball went that way that he'd won the ball. But then as soon as I saw the replay, I went, oh, that's a bit naughty, that is, isn't it? It is a little bit high. We've certainly seen them given in terms of red cards. So he was definitely lucky.
Do you reckon the ref bottled it a little bit?
Maybe some refs, they like to ref the occasion sometimes, and I thought it would have been a massive shame to the game had he have gone, and it would have changed the whole entire game. Yeah. But then you would argue that you can't ref games on individual occasions, and it's if it's a red card, it should be a red card whenever. But sometimes I do think as football referees, a degree of common sense sometimes has to come into it as well.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But you will always get people, and rightly so, will argue that it should be the same rules, in every single time.
Or the 91st minute.
Yeah. So two sides of that coin, but I can. If he had been sent off, haven't seen the replay after, I certainly wouldn't have argued it too much, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the referee bottled it a little bit. Let us know what you think, people, as well, about that, because it's definitely an interesting debate. Mm-hmm. I think that Liverpool just ran out of luck. They just ran out of luck. If you look at the Sane goal, for example, Sane hits the post, it goes in, but Mane hits the post and it comes out, and all hell breaks loose. Mm-hmm. The red card, which maybe should have been for Company as well. Liverpool tactically, I wanted to speak to you as well. But both teams, I think tactically, again, let us know what you think, people, but I think they got it wrong. I don't like Laporte at left back. I put out a tweet last night. I think he's a very uncomfortable left back. He didn't do too bad, but I don't think Liverpool exposed him enough. Yeah. When you've got a centre half playing at left back, the aim of the game is get in behind him, make life difficult for him. They didn't really do that. It's the equivalent is like Lovren playing at right back. You'd get at him all the time.
Yeah, but when I saw the team sheet, if I was a Liverpool player or Klopp seeing the team sheet, and you're seeing Laporte at left back, I'm immediately thinking weakness.
Yeah, straight away.
And needs to be exploited. But they didn't really seem to do that.
They didn't. And again, that's in part now to Liverpool's tactics. Mm-hmm. I thought creatively, apart from their front three, they didn't really have anything. There was that one time where they got through the middle. I think it was a 1-2 with Salah and Firmino, and then obviously Mane hit the post. Yeah. But when you have a midfield like they had, it was very little creativity there.
Well, this is something that I feel like we already kind of know about Liverpool, is that the front three aside, they don't have that much in way of creativity coming from the middle of the park.
There's not a lot. Obviously, they rely on the fullbacks a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say Robertson,
by the way, how good was he yesterday?
Yeah, superb.
I think I'm going to make a bold statement, but right now he's the best left back in the Premier League.
On form, you can't disagree with that. He's the biggest compliment that I can give Robertson at the moment is that I'm kind of just expecting these performances in a way that it doesn't surprise me anymore how good he is.
Yeah.
To the point where he's just impressed me so much that when someone saw Robertson was brilliant, I go, yeah, I know.
What else is new?
What's new? Yeah. But the fullbacks, do give them really good attacking options, but apart from the front three, they don't get much from midfield. Like, look at City's midfield.
Yeah, the difference is phenomenal.
There's creativity sort of all over the shop there, but these things happen in football matches. Some things go your way, some don't, and obviously Aguero went down the other end then and scored a great goal as well, and that's like a typical Aguero finish. That is.
Oh, he's a beast, bro. He's a gunman. He's a hitman. He's the kind of guy. If you need someone dead, you would send him to shoot him.
You send Aguero.
You send Aguero because he doesn't miss.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't miss.
And I remember when you're looking at it, watching it, on TV, and you're seeing where he is in the box. The angle just looks like it's not a shooting option. It's too tight. But it's like those goals are synonymous with Aguero, that he will find the angle. He could only have hit that in the exact direction that he did with the speed and trajectory that he has, and it's way too quick for Alisson, and it's gone straight through. And that, like I said, that's just a typical Aguero goal.
Yeah, Julian Lescott gives some really good insight actually about the way Aguero trains. And he said he's always trying to make sure that, basically he gets his feet right. So his standing foot, the foot he wants to shoot with the ball. So that for him, when he has that split second and he has that advantage, he's done it so much in training. It's like muscle memory.
Yeah.
To him, he just, boom, done, gone.
That's actually so true as well, because for average, just Sunday league weekend footballers like ourselves, the amount of times that I found myself in a shooting position and it's been rushed or the defender's coming at you and you go to shoot but you realise you're off balance or you miss or scuff the shot, or it's so easy to do that, especially at the highest level when you've got defenders like Van Dijk just on you in a flash. And
Lovren as well, Ballon d'Or, potential Ballon d'Or winner,
potential best centre-half in the world, when you've got defenders rushing on you like that, of that quality, you need to be able to adjust your feet so quick. And he did exactly that in that position. But interesting thing about Aguero is he hasn't played a lot lately.
No, he hasn't actually.
And I did say before the game that against Liverpool he's a man for the occasion. Now in his 7 home games he's played against Liverpool, he scored 7 goals.
Really?
Every time he plays Liverpool at home he scores.
That's incredible.
And he's also, since the start of 2011, he scored 37 Premier League goals against the supposed Big Six. That's just 16 more than any other player.
That's outrageous.
So that's
would you say a fully fit Aguero is the best striker in the league?
Yeah, I've said it before. Yeah, I think he is.
I'm going to have to say yeah.
I know he's getting a little bit older, but he's still got it.
Yeah. I would say he is probably the best striker in the league. I'd put him just ahead of Kane.
On ability, just outright ability.
Oh, natural ability. I mean, by the way, again, a lot of people who might not know this, real football fans probably do, but there's some football fans who wouldn't. Sergio Aguero's son.
Yeah.
Aguero is his father, obviously. Obviously, we hope anyway, but yeah. Aguero is the father. Maradona is the biological grandfather. Mm-hmm. If that kid grows up to be like a baker or a dentist, then he's not fulfilled his potential, because that kid should be set. He should be pulling trees up and setting stadiums on fire.
You should have been kicking a ball out of the womb.
Yeah, well, funny enough, we'll touch back on the game a moment. Did you see Raheem Sterling's kid on Instagram the other day?
No.
Jesus Christ, you should see that this kid is a year old. You should see him kicking a ball. Unbelievable. The genetic lottery that kid has won, because you should see him kicking a ball. It is fucking insane. The power and the accuracy and the run-up for a 1-year-old. I'm looking at this kid and I'm like, I can't do that now. I haven't scored since 2004. Like, this kid is banging them in everywhere.
A child of 12 months old is putting you and me to shame.
Look, this kid is a freak. Like, if you get a chance to see the video, watch it, because the coordination for a 1-year-old is insane.
Cristiano Ronaldo's son, have you seen him?
Yeah, he's another one. Like, yeah, he's banging in free kicks left, right, and centre. What's he, like 12 or something? Is he old?
Oh, I think maybe not even that old.
He might be. I'll say 8.
Ronaldo posts videos of him. I'm like, what the fuck?
I know. Anyway, we're digressing a little bit. Right, we'll go back. So, I wanted to bring up Naby Keita as well. I found it really interesting that Liverpool made a sign-in for big games like this, and then Naby Keita didn't actually play. Now, Naby Keita this season has played 14 matches. He has 0 goals, 0 assists. Now, he started the season on fire. Like, he was on flames. He didn't actually have an end product, so to speak, but he was doing everything else right, and he looked a very good player. I had a discussion with a Liverpool fan today, actually, about it, and he seems to think that maybe Klopp hasn't taken to him like he thought he would. But surely they must have known what they were getting for 66 million or something like that it was?
Yeah, so my immediate question I was going to ask you is, what player do they think that they have signed when they've bought him? Because
he's a piece of the jigsaw puzzle, but maybe they don't know where that piece goes.
Because, like you rightly pointed out, okay, so he hasn't scored any goals and he hasn't assisted any goals. Now, even for players who aren't necessarily attacking midfield players or number 10s, people like, Kante's, Jorginho's, Matic's even, still get the odd goals and assists.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Maybe not many. And you could argue maybe he just, has had some good performances, but maybe hasn't been in the right place at the right time. But when you're Liverpool, before you signed Fabinho and Keita, there was a lot of people saying that midfield was missing the creative spark, assists, that when Salah, Mane, Firmino weren't doing it, that, like the Coutinho-esque player.
Someone who can, basically somebody to feed those players.
And will occasionally conjure something out of nothing. And I assume that when they signed Keita, that they thought they would get in that sort of player, because they've already got if midfield security and sort of defensive duties and sideways passing, they've already got that in Henderson and Wijnaldum and Milner.
I like Wijnaldum in fairness. I think he's very underrated. He's doing more than he's doing a lot more than Keita.
Yeah, he is, and he's one of those kind of like a Milner in a way. He unsung hero Wijnaldum is he always seems to get in the team now because he does his job pretty well. Do you know what he is? An Italian
journalist said this about Ivan Perisic, and I found it really interesting. And a lot of people on Twitter were like, "Oh, he's fucking shit." Yeah, you know what they're like. Basically, this Italian journalist said about Ivan Perisic, he's like, he gives you a 7 out of 10 performance every week. That's so undervalued in a football team. It's just consistency.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting every single week. You can put him on the team sheet and say, okay, tactically, I need you to do this and I need you to do your thing. He'll do it for you, no problem.
Yeah, he's one of those players that he'll never be in the headlines for anything fantastic, but he'll never be in the headlines for anything poor either.
Yeah.
And he'll never get dug up for criticism.
He's a very underrated
because he's consistent.
Very good.
If Jordan Henderson is watching, he'd be glad to know that now Reece is no longer, or not at the moment on the podcast, that he won't be getting ripped apart, because if you didn't already tell or haven't or can't already tell, Reece hates Jordan Henderson.
I'm not a massive Henderson fan
he
in
hates
the sense
him.
that I find him very limited, his ability. Yeah. I wouldn't say I hate him. I'm sure he's an alright guy.
There's fire in him for
it's that Newcastle Sunderland thing, isn't it?
He'll find a way, even if we're not even talking about Jordan Henderson. We're not talking about Liverpool. He'll compare somebody to Jordan Henderson. So I didn't think he had a terrible game, Jordan Henderson. I thought he was actually okay, but going back to Keita, I do think that he needs to do more. I agree with you at the start of the season. He looked really bright, is the word I would use.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
And he was sort of really energetic. He was all over the place, running-wise, that is, not in any other way. But I think if you spend £66 million on a midfielder, then he has to be contributing something in the way of goals.
That's right. And if you spend that type of money again, you're not really allowed to drop in form, as we've seen with Pogba. Yeah. Pogba cost a bit more, and what I would say as well is Pogba is further ahead in his development than Keita, but then at some point, the criticism is going to come his way. Right now, Keita to me is very much like an expensive Ander Herrera, in a sense that he gets up and down the pitch. He does what he needs to do, in the middle of the park. He'll get some tackles in, he'll do well, he'll get about, but he doesn't really... He's sort of a jack of all trades and a master of none. Like, Herrera isn't known for going forward, but he's not a great defender either. He's just... His game management in the middle of the park is okay.
I would also say as well, it might be quite reasonable to compare him to Fred.
That's a very good... Yeah, that's
in terms of they're both new signings, they cost similar-ish money, maybe about £10-15 million between them, which is not very much anymore.
No, it's not.
And they both, my understanding is that they, sort of box-to-box midfield players, good energy about them, can potentially have a goal in them and assist in them. And Fred, has really under-delivered at the moment, as we know. But,
he's hugely under-delivered.
But you would say Keita has done a bit better, but the stats won't tell you that he's done any better.
Well, let's have a little look, actually. Let's double check. Man United stats for Fred.
I'm sure he scored. He has definitely scored.
Fred has 10 matches and 1 goal.
Yeah.
So, actually, I tell you, he's had 13 matches and 1 goal.
Yeah.
So it's not that much better, in fact.
No, but what it's like you pay a lot of money, and when you compare them, you just look at Keita, you look at the money that they've spent on him, and he doesn't really come up for that much criticism at the moment,
Yeah, no, right now, I think because Liverpool are top of the league and everything's hunky-dory, he's kind of avoiding that criticism.
Yeah, there are more hiding places and things like that.
But should they slip down the table and maybe get to second or third, questions then will be asked. They're like, why is he not playing? Because he's supposed to be a big game player. You're supposed to play your big game players in the big games. Mm-hmm. It's the only equivalent I can give is like this. You don't buy a thoroughbred, then leave it in the stable. Do you know what I mean? You let it run free and do its thing. And right now, for some reason, Klopp is going, Keita, I don't really trust him. So, I guess time will tell. Yeah. But anyway, I felt Liverpool were unlucky in the game itself. Great win for Man City. I still think Liverpool will win the title. I just have this gut feeling that they're going to go on and do it. I think their next 6 games compared to City's are relatively easy. And if Liverpool can maintain the form they have, then they can build a bit more momentum again and go from there.
That actually segues quite nicely into, and this, I was going to leave it till the end actually, but Alex Kirkhouse actually asked us a question regarding the fixture
list. Shout out to Kirky.
So thanks for the question, Kirkhouse. So he actually asked along the lines of, if we compare City's, Liverpool's and Spurs', I'll get the exact word of the question up in a sec, but if we compare all their fixtures for the remainder of January, now it looks like on paper that Liverpool and City have pretty decent fixtures.
You got the City fixtures, have you?
Yeah, I got City ones there.
Try and get some up now as well.
But when we actually compare them to Spurs' fixtures, Spurs look a little bit more tricky, obviously playing the United after the FA Cup run now. And obviously United is a slightly different proposition to what they were under Mourinho, so it maybe looked as a little bit trickier.
Yeah.
So what he said was, after last night's game, how do you see the next few fixtures for all three teams in the title race? Liverpool seem to have the easier run for the rest of the month. City also have it pretty straightforward as well. But Spurs do have to play a slightly resurgent United side. Do you think that it will drop down to a two-horse race by the end of the month?
Good question.
Because on paper, we would both say now that Spurs aren't in the title race, even though mathematically they are.
I mean, historically, Spurs being Spurs, doing Spursy Spurs stuff, then they'll be out of it by Valentine's Day, because that's what happens. But I hope they stay in it. So
I'll get City's here now.
So Liverpool got Brighton away. That's not the easiest fixture. Palace at home, so that's you expect 3 points. They got Leicester at home. Again, you'd probably expect 3 points. West Ham away. That's a tough game on a Monday night under the lights. Bournemouth at home. And then they've got Bayern and United.
The question that I ask you for the remainder so if we're looking at just Premier League games for the remainder of January, if I have to push you, how many points out of their maximum total do you think Liverpool will get? Based on the fact they've also now lost as well, it's how they react as well.
Looking at that, so in January, alright, so they got Leicester, let's have a little look. So we got Leicester, we said Palace, Brighton. So that's potential 9 points. I would say they'd comfortably get minimum 7 points out of that. I'd go for the full 9. The tough one might be Brighton away, because Brighton's not an easy place to go.
Yeah.
And Brighton could make life difficult for them. But I'd fully expect minimum 7 to 9 points.
Okay. So if we look at City's then, they have Wolves home, which as we know, Wolves are not the easiest side that you want to play,
they're
especially as a top
very
6.
Good side.
And they haven't yet lost, let's throw a stat in there. Wolves haven't lost an away fixture against the top 6 so far this season. Now, I know the Etihad is not an easy place to go, but teams like Palace have showed that can be done.
Yeah, it can, yeah.
So they've got Wolves at home, and then Huddersfield away, and then they have Newcastle away. Okay. Huddersfield away is 3 points. We already know that.
Yeah, 100%. Get the goal difference up as well, actually.
Yeah, and you probably say that away to Newcastle is another 3 points.
Yeah.
Because Newcastle don't win at home either, which I'll touch upon later again.
Yeah.
So that's 6 points up. Again, so you maybe look at, I think it's Brighton's that maybe the banana skin for Liverpool and Wolves for City. But again, you'd expect they're 7 to 9 points, so I can't see too much change in there. The Spurs fixtures. So Spurs are currently 2-0 up to Tranmere, which is
the FA Cup
is
game,
is a standard as you'd expect. Now Spurs, so they have got to contend with
United.
So they've actually got an away.
It's the League Cup, yes.
Yeah, the away fixture in the League Cup.
Even then, though, I mean, they may prioritise that against Chelsea. Yeah, it's a good chance of winning some silverware. Otherwise, they may not win nothing.
Yeah, so they've got a League Cup tie at home to Chelsea. Like you say, that's a big game. So they may sort of reshuffle the pack, and that might affect what happens to them in the Premier League fixtures as well. But if we look at the Premier League games, they're home to United, then they're away to Fulham, and then home to Watford. So the one that
some tough games there actually.
Yeah. So the United game, that could go either way. So it's a weird one with United that it wouldn't surprise me to see Spurs win 3-0. But then it wouldn't surprise me for United to get a 1-0 win either, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So Spurs will obviously be taking that seriously. So that is a tough game. Away to Fulham.
You'd fancy Spurs.
I would still fancy Spurs. And then home to Watford, I would fancy Spurs. So
that could be tough. That has the potential to be a little trickier.
That is the type of game, though, that if Spurs were to lose, you'd call that Spursy.
Do you reckon? Yeah, I mean, the Wolves game I would call very Spursy because that's a newly promoted side. Watford, in fairness, they're doing bits this season, so Watford going there and getting a point wouldn't necessarily surprise me too much. But I know what you mean, though. Yeah, Gary.
I think what would be interesting to see is that if Spurs don't get a result home to Chelsea and then don't get a result against United, that'd be interesting to see how they respond from that. Then, but I don't think Spurs would be totally out of it. It's kind of weird because I kind of think they're already out of it.
Yeah, you're talking like they're not even there.
Yeah. I think they're 2 points behind City?
I have the table here, actually. Let's have a little look. We have, they're a point ahead of City. So, yeah, they're a point ahead of City, and they are... Oh, no, my maths isn't that great.
No, that's not included City. So City are 50 now, aren't they?
All right.
Yeah, it's 4 points.
Oh, well, fucking BBC, Jesus Christ. Can you update your stuff? Sort it out, will you? Jeez,
yeah, so they're 2 points behind City, so I think they're 6 points off the top, aren't they? So,
yeah.
I suppose if United were to beat them and City and Liverpool both win, that will put them 9 points off the top. So you would probably say that could potentially be them out of it, you know?
Yeah, true.
But to answer Alex's question, really, yeah, they could be out of it by the end of January, but I don't think that they're serious contenders.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the fixtures, just going back to what Alex was saying, I'd fancy Liverpool to get maximum points. If City don't keep pace and they have one slip up, then it might be over. That's all it takes is one slip up, and then it's going to be tough for them to come back.
Well, they've done the hard part. City beating Liverpool to actually peg them back now, and they're going to hope that the momentum may switch slightly. So if they were to drop silly points somewhere else now, then they just shot themselves in the foot then, wouldn't they, really? Yeah,
quick note before we segue into the next game, because I've got this media thing down pat now. Ben Chilwell, linked with a move to Manchester City. Yeah. We talked about it just before we came on air. If you've seen previous episodes or you've listened to the SoundCloud episodes, you know I'm a massive fan of Ben Chilwell. I think he can easily play for a top 6 club. He's only, I think, 21. He's having a brilliant season with Leicester. Arsenal definitely need a new left back. I'd encourage Arsenal to definitely go and buy him. The word on the street is that with Mendy being injured constantly, Zinchenko not being sufficient quality, and Delph not being sufficient quality, that he would come in and challenge Mendy. Do you reckon he'd be a good signing?
Yeah, I think he'd be a good signing. The question I'd have is, will the City board be happy to just splurge out another 30-40 million on another left back?
I think they will.
Because I think, what did Mendy cost? 50-odd million?
I'm not sure actually how much Mendy is. He the most expensive fullback in the world?
Yeah, him or Walker. I think they were both 50 million each.
They probably were actually. Yeah, they probably were. Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see where Guardiola sees the whole Mendy situation, because if he doesn't trust him injury wise, then that.
Well, Mendy's body when he was at Monaco seemed to hold up quite well. But ever since he's gone to City, he's just been plagued by injuries, and they seem to be very difficult to overcome. Chilwell as well, being English, is another advantage too. You know, you can put an English player in the squad. So I think Ben Chilwell may in the summer get the move to a top 6 club.
I think Arsenal will be a better move for him, because
do you think?
I think he could nail down that position.
I think playing for someone like a Guardiola could do his career wonders. And
I just worry about the competition and how many players.
Well, this is the thing. They're going to be challenging on. They're going to be challenging on 4 fronts. You look how much Fabian Delph has played.
Yeah.
Replace Delph with Chilwell. And Mendy.
Totally see your point. I just think that if he was to sign for Arsenal, he would be their out and out number one choice and play every single game. You know, so But then you look at wages and things like that. The players get their heads turned by, and you know, we all know City could probably treble Arsenal.
It's an interesting one. We'll come on to the transfers in a moment. We'll go to a quick interval in a bit. But just to wrap that game up then, to summarise, I felt Liverpool were very unlucky. I don't think that they exposed the left-back position at all at Man City. I think Laporte, again, terrific centre-half, by the way. He's got so much potential, but at left-back they really didn't do what they should have done. Company, again, should have gone. Liverpool, lacking creativity, didn't play their best, but I don't think they played as bad as some of the critics made out either.
Yeah.
Fair shout?
No, fair shout. Liverpool were unlucky. There was game-changing moments, as we've mentioned.
Fine margins.
Fine margins. But then once City went one up. You would say that Liverpool maybe against the run of play got the equaliser, and then City straight away went up the other end and went 2-1 up. And I think at that point they did then look the more likely to maybe make it 3 or 4. Sterling missed a sitter and things like that. So it was definitely a close game. Like you say, great advert for the Premier League. City just edged it, and I'd give them 3 points.
Okay, cool. Right, we'll just go to a quick interval, guys. Now remember, add us up, IG, Twitter, all of that. Subscribe on the YouTube channel if you already haven't. Tell all your friends. As Becky said in the last episode, if anybody likes football and they want to have a little debate and interact with us, or they want something good to listen over these cold January days, subscribe. We're more than happy to talk. So anyway, we'll be back just after this, and we'll go over the best of the rest. All right, we're back, people. Hope you've added us all up on the social media platforms. As we were speaking about Ben Chilwell, we'll segue nicely into the Leicester-Everton game. Yeah. Now, main talking point of the game. Did you know Jamie Vardy can backflip?
Apparently so.
Guy like a fucking Russian gymnast. Like, did you see him go? He did a cartwheel and then a fucking tumble toss, and then sort of
this is two people who have no idea about acrobatics.
Honest to God, I looked at it and I was like, Jamie Vardy just backflipped. I thought he was too old to backflip. I didn't think he could do it anyway, but I thought he's definitely too old. But yeah, shout out to Jamie Vardy. Fucking hell, boy, you got some moves. Let me tell you.
I remember him being interviewed actually about someone.
Jeez Louise.
I can't remember the exact words he used, but when he was quizzed on his celebration, he said, "Oh, I've been in the locker for a while."
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
I can't remember what he said after. He was just waiting for the right moment or something. But yeah, that certainly took me by surprise. It didn't strike Jimmy.
It was actually it was a thing of beauty. I'm not gonna lie. I could watch that over and over and not get bored.
You see players like I think it's Aubameyang and Nani. Players with a bit of flair and maybe some Latina-esque moves in them.
Culture. That's what they have.
And then Jamie Vardy has just whapped one out.
Unreal. Great finish by Vardy as well. Leicester. Terrific win against Everton.
Yeah.
Everton, if I could describe them in a sentence, I'd say they're like a yo-yo dieter. That's how I would describe Everton. 1 minute they look really sexy and you think, fucking hell, they got a great shape on them. And then the next minute you think, you've just let yourself go completely. You look fucking terrible.
The one thing I wanted to mention to you about the whole Everton situation is I don't think the Everton board and owners are convinced on Marco Silva at the moment. They can't be.
They're not all pulling in the right direction, that's for sure.
They've given him money to spend. He spent it, a decent amount of money, and he ain't doing what they want at the moment, is he? And you've got to win over the confidence of the club and the board and the owner. And he's nowhere near that at the moment, Marco Silva. Because we've discussed, I'm not going to go into it in too much detail, but we've discussed in previous episodes the quality that Everton have in that side. Probably, I think it was last week.
Just reading this now, Everton spent more than £200 million on players in 2 summer transfer windows. Yeah. And quite frankly, we're all wondering where the quality is most of the time. I mean, Sigurdsson especially, like we've said a million times, build a side around him and you'll have a formidable side because he's a very good player. Yeah. But, I mean, just looking at the lineup, right, just going over the Everton team, you've got Pickford, Keane, Zuma, Digne, Andre Gomez, Walcott, Sigurdsson, Richarlison. Like, they're very good footballers. Yeah. And he just doesn't seem to maybe know how to get the best out of them. That's the thing,
they seem to make a bit of a big play to get Marco Silva. There was a bit of an ordeal about it and how the way he left Watford as well. So they really, really wanted him, and he did do quite well at Watford. But he's come in, and I expected more. I did expect more. And when you've got a squad of that sort of quality, once they aren't performing after a certain amount of time, you have to start looking at the manager.
Yeah, do you know what? We've been over it a few times as well, and for people who've listened in the past, they'll definitely know what we're referring to. Everton miss a goal scorer, like an out-and-out goal scorer. You know how I feel about Cenk Tosun?
Yeah.
Look, I'm not a fan. I don't like him. I don't like his eyebrows. I don't like his face. I don't like the way he runs. I don't like nothing about him. But look at this. They had 17 shots on target, right? They had 17 shots, 2 on target, which is it's just as impotent gets, really. It's lifeless. If I bought a ticket and there's only 2 shots on target by the home team, someone's getting punched in the face.
Yeah.
Because that's horrendous.
They had Lukaku.
You can never get another Lukaku, I suppose. But if I'm Everton, right, and you're really backing Silva, scout the leagues, right, and go, okay, who's our guy? Where are we going to get it? Maybe a Mitrovic or someone like that.
This is the thing, is that United paid, what was it, 75 million for Lukaku.
Yeah.
You have to reinvest that in a top quality clinical striker.
That's it.
Who says you have to spend the full 75? But they brought Rooney in, I think they brought Tosin in, they brought Davy Klaassen in. Just a mixed bag of just
shite, basically.
Shite, yeah. Just sharpening the Poundland.
And that's not to diss Wayne Rooney, by the way, but Wayne Rooney going back to Everton was like a token gesture for him. It was never a serious signing.
Yeah, he like you said there, it wasn't the serious, long-term striker that they needed.
Absolutely
he did okay at times. He did what you'd probably expected of Wayne Rooney when he went back, but they needed to do so much more with that money. And even still now, what they've spent in this window, some of the players they've signed are decent.
They're very good signings,
Yerry Mina, Andre Gomez, some of them on loan as well. I like
Gomez as well. It's a good player.
But they've made some decent signings. But at the moment, it really isn't working for them.
No, it's not.
On the flip side, though, great way for Leicester to bounce back after losing to Cardiff.
Yeah, terrific.
Very unexpected loss for them there. But that's a good 3 points at Goodison Park. I know we've criticised Everton a little bit there, but it's still not the easiest of places to go.
No, it really isn't. It's a good, very, very good 3 points. And for Puel, again, I see Leicester fans slating him a lot, and I'm thinking, well, I don't really know what your expectations are anymore, Leicester fans, because there's fans out there right now who would kill for Puel and Leicester. Oh my God, they would absolutely love it.
You look at that table now. If you're Leicester City, could you realistically, in 7th place behind the top 6, you are where you're nowhere better. You can't be better than where you are.
Well, I mean, that's the best of the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you would be totally unrealistic to try and say that you want to finish above any of that top 6 side with your Leicester.
Fact.
So, Leicester fans, if any Leicester fans that are watching, if you have criticised Puel, let us know why. And if you look at the table,
please tell us why, because I'm bewildered as to why they're doing it. But like you said, excellent 3 points nonetheless.
And it wasn't just the fact that they took all 3 points as well. If you actually, for those who watched the game, you realise that they pretty much shut out Everton for almost the full game. It took them until it was 75th or 76th minute just for Everton to get a shot on target.
Yeah.
Yes, they had shots, but not on target. Leicester were very organised at the back, very compact, and they just bided their time. And as soon as they got a chance, they played Vardy in, and you know what happens.
Yeah, Vardy banged. I mean, that's what happens when you have quality up top.
Yeah,
it wins you games.
And it wasn't like a smash and grab performance. It was a very good away win. They went away from home to quite a difficult place. They defended well. They were organised, and when they had a chance, they took it.
Yeah. True that. We'll scooch into the Arsenal game. Big Arsenal news that's come out today, and I think it was yesterday as well, actually, but it mostly sort of appeared on all the news outlets today, was Aaron Ramsey. Apparently he's turned down PSG, and he's going to Juventus. Do you reckon, if you had the choice, you got Juve, you got PSG, do you have a preference as to where you would go?
That's tough, that is. That's a tough choice, yeah.
It's a very tough choice, because PSG and the money they're throwing at their project, by the way, bending all the financial fair play rules again, to play with Neymar and Mbappe and Cavani, and Ramsey would get in that midfield.
He would, yeah.
Ramsey would be starting in that midfield.
But then, you're playing with Ronaldo and Dybala, as well, and you're looking at that squad, and it's just as good quality. And
it's a hard choice, man.
They have shown to be a better team because they do better in the Champions League as well. They win their respective league, Juve, and usually a cup as well.
Yeah, I think Serie A is a bit more prestigious than Liga 1.
And it's a better quality league. Right. Maybe not by a great deal, but it is.
That's true. Yeah, there is history there for Welshmen as well. John Charles, I think, played for Juventus, didn't he?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah. You've got teams like Napoli and Udinese and Roma, the Milan sides, Lazio.
Yeah.
Even things like Sampdoria and things like that. So it is a better league, but it's a difficult choice. It's like asking me if I want to spend the night with Margot Robbie or Gal Gadot,
Who?
From Gal Gadot,
who the fuck is that?
She's Wonder Woman.
Nah, I never heard of her.
You're joking.
No, I swear to God. No, I'm not shitting you. I don't know who she is. Who is she?
She plays Wonder Woman.
I haven't even never seen Wonder Woman.
She's in Fast and Furious.
Which one?
The one that goes out with Han.
Oh, her!
Yeah.
Oh, right. So she's the chick that gets the hand on her ass in the fifth film.
Yes.
She's alright. I wouldn't say no, but she's alright.
But, we get the point. It's a very, very difficult choice. What I will say, just to blow up into, the actual point that we're trying to put across here, is that he plays for Arsenal, okay, as we know. Aaron Ramsey's done for many years, been a terrific player for them. Now, Emery and Arsenal are happy to let him go.
I can't quite believe that.
Because he apparently is surplus to requirements and he doesn't fit into Emery's plans.
Yeah.
Yet the two clubs that have come knocking for him, and Bayern Munich have had whispers as well, okay?
I think, put it this way, if Ramsey, he's very loyal to Arsenal. If you saw, I can't remember what game it was, where Arsenal scored and Ramsey was warming up on the side of the pitch. He celebrated the goal like he scored it. The passion. He does love Arsenal Football Club. He's been there, like, I think it will take 10 years,
right? It's his DNA almost now.
It is, yeah, and he is Arsenal to a degree through and through. I don't think he'd play for another English club.
But the fact that they're allowing him to leave for next to nothing, if not nothing, and he could be going to Juve, PSG or Bayern. Crazy. If I'm, the board or Arsenal manager, the first thing that's telling me is maybe I shouldn't be letting this guy go if clubs like these want. It
sounds weird, right? And I don't know what type of relationship Emery has with Aaron Ramsey, but it feels personal. It doesn't feel like business, because Ramsey got the contract offer and then Arsenal took it back off the table. So to me, it's borderline. Like, maybe Emery feels insulted. I don't know how he works as a character, but I'm watching it thinking, really?
It's a weird one, but for us, football fans, I can't see any sense in it. Arsenal fans, please let us know your thoughts on this one, because me and Spoon are absolutely baffled by it.
Yeah, it bewilders me.
And if you think that it might be a good decision to let him go, please tell us who you might even like to see come in and replace him. Because, like we've said in previous episodes, he's actually 28 years old, I think, as well. You would argue, in the prime. He's got another. Well, I'd say good 5 or 6 years in him. He knows the league. He's consistent. He gets you goals. He creates goals. So who are you going to bring in if Ramsey's going to go to try and do the same job? Well, as we said in the last episode for our regulars, Stan Kroenke isn't going to spend any money. Mm-hmm. If he does, it'll be very minimal. You're looking at spending 30 to 50 million to replace Ramsey. The market is tough. It's not easy just to go out and grab another Torreira or someone. You can get them, but it isn't easy. Arsenal Fan TV, it all kicked off. They're on about Kroenke. They're on about the defence. They're on about not having any money to spend. There's a big thing on there about, can Arsenal ever win the league under Stan Kroenke? I think it was Claude on Arsenal Fan TV saying Emery isn't a top level manager and he isn't good enough. Arsenal's getting a little bit toxic again, which is great for Robbie, because the pounds will keep coming in. He's going to be loving it. Yeah, the views are coming in. But Arsenal, as good as they've done, there's something amiss with Arsenal right now, and I can't quite put my finger on it. And another interesting stat as well to back up the whole Aaron Ramsey situation is that Arsenal have scored 10 Premier League goals this season courtesy of substitutes alone, which is more than any other team. Now, I don't know the exact number, but I know that Ramsey has contributed to a good few of those goals, either scoring them, he's played very well, or coming on and assisting them. So you look at how many points that has potentially rescued Arsenal to get them where they are on the table now, and you take Ramsey out of the equation, where are they then? That's very true. I mean, the game itself is not an awful lot to discuss. Fulham, they got consolation. Fully expected Arsenal to get 3 or 4. Aubameyang and Lacazette on the score sheet. Mm-hmm. Again, I've stated in the past, I think they could be the new York and Cole. I think they are good. Together, they're superb. If they can find a way to make that work and mesh them together and sort of build a team around them, whether that includes Mesut Ozil or not, I mean, that's anybody's guess right now, but they could be terrific. Yeah, and we've it's well documented with us and everywhere as well that going forward, Arsenal don't have a great deal of problems. They have great problems in terms of their selection. Yeah. But the issue that they have is defensively, like you've pointed out. Now, correct and right. They've kept just 1 clean sheet in the last 14 games. Now, as good as your strikers are, Aubameyang, Lacazette, Iwobi had a decent game against Fulham. You've got Mkhitaryan, Ozil. They have got quality there. Ramsey as well. Torreira. That they're not issues. It's the defensive problems that are going to be their Achilles heel. It is. Now, you mentioned that 4-1. It seems like a good score. That seems like a very easy game, and that is the way that it turned out. But before Xhaka took the lead, Ryan Sessegnon missed 2 absolute sitters. Absolute sitters. Not half chances. Sitters. Absolute sitters. Yep. Now, a better, more consistent, more clinical player scores them goals. And what happens? They're 2-0 down. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. So, great result for Arsenal in the end. They had a bit of a drubbing against Liverpool, so you need to get 3 points and score some goals to get your confidence back. But it just, like you said before, the situation Mourinho, it just papers over the cracks.
It does, yeah. Next week, me and Becky aren't doing the Champions League fixtures. We're not doing the FA Cup fixtures. We have transfer videos coming, so we're taking 3 teams each. And what will happen is we're going to pick transfer targets for the January market for those teams. Who have I got again? I got Spurs, Arsenal, and
I think it is Chelsea.
Spurs, Arsenal, Chelsea, and you have the 2 United. You have the 2 Manchester clubs and Liverpool, is it?
Yeah, I believe
that's
so.
fine. Yeah, but anyway, keep an eye out for them because they're going to be really interesting. Basically, we're going to analyse who could go there and basically make a difference. So let us know if you have any sort of transfer targets for your teams, and we'll try and implement them in the videos as well. But yeah, we'll draw a line under the game, like I said, because there's not an awful lot to talk about. It's relatively routine. Spurs Cardiff. Now, a question I wanted to ask you, and I think it's actually a very interesting question and a debate that has come up on Twitter a lot recently. Yeah. A lot of United fans, dyed-in-the-wool United fans, will tell you that Park Ji-sung is the best Asian player ever. Now, a lot of people, myself included, because I think he's absolutely terrific, will say that Son is the best Asian player ever in the Premier League. What is your take on that, and who would you go with?
Not yet. Son.
Do you not think so?
I think he has the potential, but it depends which angle you want to come in on this one.
Do you know what it is? Park was a workhorse.
Because they're totally different players.
That's what I mean. Yeah, Park was a workhorse, right? You could give him a job tactically, and specifically, he would carry that role out to a T. But he doesn't have anywhere near the flair or ability that this guy has.
No, I agree with that. But he also showed a lot more consistency over more seasons.
Playing in, might I add, a much better side than Son.
And I was going to say that he did win a lot more as well. Now, when you say a better side, Spurs, you can't say
that United side, though, bear in mind now, that
they were incredible.
That was Tevez at his peak, Ronaldo at his peak, Rooney at his peak. You had Owen Hargreaves, Paul Scholes, Michael Carrick, Vidic, Ferdinand.
Yeah.
This guy's got Danny Rose to look after as well, right? So understand what he's working with.
Sissoko, yeah. No, I completely take your point on board. Son definitely has the ability to be the best Asian player of all time, and the one that we've seen in the Premier League as well.
I think he's
brilliant. He's excellent. And I think I mentioned it to you, or it might have been Reece, that he's proven at the moment to be as influential and as important to Spurs as Kane, because he's scoring at the moment as many goals as him.
I think he's undroppable right
January,
now.
And he's assisting. He's all over the place.
Incredible player.
So the fact that I think it's the 13th of January he goes to the Asia Games.
Big miss,
and he could potentially
Spurs fans, big miss.
Yeah, he could potentially miss. I think it's 5 or 6 Premier League games as well, depending on how far they get in the competition. So at the moment, if Kane isn't doing it, then Son is usually doing it, or even Eriksen maybe just after that. So, if Harry Kane isn't scoring goals, they've got Son to fall back on at the moment. You could argue that maybe someone like Lamela could come in, but Lucas Moura maybe. But they're not even getting anywhere near the consistency of Son at the moment. So, he could be a big miss for them. So we'll see how that plays out for them. But I certainly think that he could be well on his way to being the best Asian player we've seen in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But we'll see how long it whether he can carry this on for the rest of the season and then into next season and so on.
Yeah, I think in terms of what Park has done, I don't want to downplay his achievements because he's a superb player. But the fact that I think Son is just technically so much more gifted, and the goals he scored this season, oh my God, bro, it's like a highlight reel.
Yeah, and the thing is as well is that Park is the type of player who does things that they don't capture the imagination. They're not exciting.
No.
He's not a luxury player like Son is.
So, no, that's true.
So he never will grab the headlines.
Park Ji-sung don't win Ballon d'Ors.
No,
they don't. And that's a fair shout. But yeah, going back to the game itself, very standard win, wasn't it, really, for Spurs?
Yeah.
Kane, Eriksen and Son bagged. Cardiff had no real highlights to speak of. Was it Patterson ragdolled Sissoko in the corner, put him on the floor? Might be worth the entry fee if you're into that type of thing, but if your right back / striker goes and puts someone on his arse, that's about it, to be honest with you.
I don't think it was a game Neil Warnock necessarily circled in the calendar and thought we're going to get 3 points here or maybe even a point, but the fact that they went a goal down I think in the first 5 minutes was a disaster for them. If they were trying to even set up for a potential point. That was all but gone in the first 5 minutes. And
game plans out the window.
Yeah. And then they found themselves 3-0 down after just over 25 minutes. It was just a bit of a flurry from Spurs early on, and that ultimately just did the business there. And then they came out for the second half. They didn't even look like they were that bothered, Spurs. They just controlled the game.
They just kind of, they coasted. That's the word
they went for the clean sheet as well, and
they
just
coasted.
cruised, you know. So, still though, the stat I brought up earlier on this season still stands. After 21 Premier League games, Spurs are still yet to play out a draw.
Wow.
They still don't do draws.
Yeah, it's do or die, like I said last time for Spurs. Yeah.
Not one of those crazy stats, but you do read it and think, that is a bit weird actually. You don't get a point against Spurs or draw Spurs because.
Be interesting actually to see United Spurs now coming up, I suppose, because United, I still doubt their capabilities of beating a top side. So I would take a point against Spurs.
I would take a point,
take a point.
If they beat, you'd expect them to beat Reading in the cup, and then a point away to Spurs, and then maybe back on another a good run and a win would be a good outcome from that, I think. But we mentioned that Cardiff had nothing in this game. I didn't really expect them to. What I will say though, is that they've got 18 points after 21 games this season, and that's all.
It's not the worst return, is it?
No, that's all they actually managed in the whole season. They were last up, and they got relegated. It was 18 points. So
improvement.
They've got another 17 games.
Does that tell you that the quality of the Premier League is significantly worse now, at the lower end, given the fact that Cardiff, that previous Cardiff side, were not a great side, and the sides that are below them, with all due respect, are pretty shit.
Yeah, but I mean, you could argue that Cardiff you could argue it's pretty much fact. I think they went down, didn't they, the last time in bottom, in 20th place, so they were the worst team in the league. And they're a little bit better this time around. It's difficult to compare because it's difficult to remember the actual season as a whole from 2013.
Yeah.
And who was in the mix.
I vaguely remember Gary Medel.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
He went on to play for Inter Milan as well, which is the weird thing.
Yeah.
But I just think Cardiff have maybe got a slightly better approach this time. They're playing more to their strengths, the little strengths that they do have.
Good shout,
and they're just trying to pick up points where possible.
Yeah, true that. All right, cool. All right, so big transfer news. Chelsea have signed Christian Pulisic. They've loaned him back to Dortmund. We were talking about this before we came on. I think it's criminal how Chelsea treat young players. You look at your Hudson-Odois. Hudson-Odoi, when I saw him play for England against Spain in the World Cup final at the age grade level, he tortured the Spanish right back. The Spanish right back is still having therapy, right? Because Hudson-Odoi crucified him. Like, when I say he gassed him, right, the Spanish right back was almost crying at the end. I think he might have been crying, right? Not just because they lost, but because he was abused by Hudson-Odoi. And I remember thinking, Hudson-Odoi was younger than everyone else on the pitch at the time. And him and Phil Foden, they stood out, right? And Phil Foden for other reasons, because he was spectacular. But Hudson-Odoi, how are you going to let him go? And how are you not going to give him a chance? I look at Loftus-Cheek. Loftus-Cheek is about 23, 24 now. He still hasn't fully broken into that Chelsea side.
Yeah.
And Chelsea have this gem on their hands, right? And Bayern Munich are so desperate to get him. They'll probably go to about 35, 40 million just to get him, right? Because they want a winger who can replace Ribery and Robben and so forth and so on. How are you treating young kids like this? What is going on at Chelsea? They have no desire to promote youth. Like, Christensen is probably going to be out the door as well. He was the other big youth product. Loftus-Cheek I could see going as well. Ampadu can't get a game. As a young player, is there any point going to Chelsea anymore?
No,
there's not, is there? It's
just the Chelsea way. They just want quick fixes, and they want the answer straight away. There's one of the listeners and one of my friends as well, Luke Edwards. He is a big Chelsea fan, and he mentioned to me on Twitter. I can't remember in what exact tweet that it was, but he basically said that Hudson-Odoi was going to be Chelsea's next big thing. And I instantly replied to him saying, "No, he won't be, because they don't promote any youth." You name me one proper sort of Chelsea youth player that's come right through the system and broken into the first side since someone like John Terry, and there isn't anyone. They just don't promote youth, and you hit the nail on the head then when you ask the question, is there any point in young English players either coming through the system or going there? And no, there is no point, because they've proven time and time again, whether it's Loftus-Cheek, whether it's Hudson-Odoi, you've got Ampadu, even when they sign young English players, they signed Ross Barkley, it doesn't ever work out. They never. Oh,
it's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre that they would discard this kid because he's so good. Another great player. Not a lot of people who watch this may know about Jay Da Silva. Again, Jay Da Silva is somebody I watched play for Chelsea in the Youth Cup, the FA Youth Cup a few years ago. Yeah. Jay Da Silva was supposed to be the next Ashley Cole. He's on loan at, let's have a look here. Who's he on loan with now? I'm thinking Charlton. No, sorry, I beg your pardon, it's Bristol. Honest to God, this kid, right, is such a good football player. He's a really, really talented player and a great left back. He would be perfect as an understudy for Marcos Alonso. Absolutely perfect. He'd put him in a wing-back role. Yet he's out on loan again, and he'll probably never make the Chelsea first team. And I'm at that stage with Chelsea now where if I see a talented young player go there, I have to then question what your motive is. Yeah. Do you want to be a football player, or do you just want to pay the mortgage off in 5 years and be comfy? Because at some point there has to be a desire to improve and progress, and that's why I salute Sancho. He went away from City and he's like, you know what, I want to be one of the world's best players, and that's what Hudson-Odoi is going to have to do. That's
the thing. You're looking at Bayern now trying to bring him in for 30 to 40 million. They're probably looking at Sancho and Reiss Nelson.
Yeah, Reiss Nelson's another one. Yeah,
in the Bundesliga and how that's working out, they're probably thinking, we could do that too. Now, the most ridiculous thing of the whole Chelsea situation is how many years they've won the FA Youth Cup back to back. I think it was.
And have not had a youth team player come
through. They've literally got the most amazing talent just sitting right in front of them, winning trophies.
Scandalous.
At youth level. And they're just not interested. They're not interested. It's all left, and there are clubs that would absolutely die to have the players that Chelsea have coming through their youth setup.
Yeah.
And they are just not making anything out of it. So Chelsea, they've been the same pretty much since Abramovich took over. They just want to splash the cash, get the quick fix, and just try and compete for trophies.
Shocking. Another player actually, again, who I watched in the World Youth Cup was a Chelsea player who's really impressive, and a lot of people might not have heard of him. Have you ever heard of Jonathan Panzo? Jonathan Panzo basically left Chelsea to go and join Monaco, and he's playing regular at Monaco. I know Monaco haven't been doing that great under Thierry Henry, but there's a kid again, right, who could have comfortably broken into the Chelsea team. You could have had him right as a third or fourth choice, or even fifth choice centre half, and just blooded him in, right? But Panzo's gone to Monaco. You've got Hudson-Odoi, who will probably go to Bayern Munich. These aren't small clubs. They want some of the best players. Da Silva, again, could easily play for a bigger club and probably will do it at some stage of his career. He's still only young. Ampadu is just, quite frankly, probably one of the best players of his generation. He's that good. I just do not understand what Chelsea are doing.
Yeah, but then the thing is, you've got clubs like Bayern Munich, like Monaco. They're probably just laughing to themselves that they've got all this talent coming through Chelsea's youth setup, and they know that they're going to be just picking up these little pieces of gold, So
shocking.
This, like I said, we talk about this. There's absolutely no surprise. None of this surprises me. You got Pulisic that is coming in now. Is it 57.6 million, something along those lines?
I think they give the price in euros initially, did they? But
it's like 64 million euros or something like that. But I'm not a huge fan of the whole transfer, to be honest. I've my feelings on it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
They're potentially getting rid of Hudson-Odoi to sign as it stands. I know we talk about quality, but as it stands in terms of form, to sign Dortmund's, someone who's on the bench, who's second in line to Jadon Sancho at the moment. Now, there's no shame in that as such, but you're paying almost £60 million for a young winger who's not playing games.
Yeah.
And you got someone there already in Callum Hudson-Odoi who could potentially already do what Pulisic will do for you. So, doesn't make any sense to me at all, but like I say, it's just no surprise.
Do you know the interesting thing now is what happens with Hazard? I wonder if he'll stay or go.
He's going.
Do you think so?
100% going.
That Madrid side, again, I don't know if you actually saw it last night, people, but Gareth Bale actually pulled up injured again. So he's out injured again, and I think Madrid are just going to cut their losses on Bale, and they're going to want another big signing in the summer, which leads me to believe if Pulisic has come in, he can just take Hazard's position and Hazard will go. So
in an ideal world,
I would back you with that, and I'd say Hazard will probably go.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going the end of the season. The things he's been saying, his agents, when he's done interviews, it all points towards his exit at the end of the season. But and where would that leave Chelsea then? It's a big gamble taking Pulisic in potentially to replace Hazard. And Chelsea aren't doing very good at the moment as well. So
yeah, they're struggling.
They haven't actually scored in 3 of their last 5 games at the Bridge, and that's the same form they had in the last.
Sarri said yesterday that they're probably going to need a new striker. The Morata experiment hasn't worked. Giroud, in fairness, is a good backup, and he'll come in and he's a solid lad. He'll come in and do a job.
Took a knock, didn't he? I think.
Yeah, but the whole Morata thing is just not working at all. And Sarri's at the stage now where I think he's ready to just cut his losses. It'll be an interesting summer, Chelsea, because you'll probably have Hazard go out. They have their replacement already. They'll need a striker, so that's fine. You know, who do they buy? I mean, Higuain has come up quite a bit.
Yeah, he's been mentioned as well. They have the money they could go out and buy. There's quite a few players that they could buy and people that are available. There's talks about Callum Wilson.
I wouldn't want Callum
but
Wilson,
they could spend bigger money
fan.
on Higuain's one of those. But what's to stop them maybe putting like a little cheeky bid in for Cavani or someone like that? So Morata is I don't even know what's going on there, because it looks like that they've selected me and put me up top, because he's not even staying on side. You get this, right? So Morata has been recorded, or has recorded 1.9 offsides per 90 minutes, which is more than any other player in the league.
Do you know what's really interesting is I saw an article about Manchester City scouting players, and one of the main things they scout about a player is his actual mentality. They're like, how tough is he mentally? And it was interesting to note that a while back, Sarri actually said that Morata is mentally very fragile, and that would explain a lot in terms of his performances, because at the top level you need to be mentally tough. You've got to have thick skin, you've got to be prepared for whatever's thrown at you. And maybe he just doesn't have that in him.
No, perhaps not. And also you look at the side of it where you relocate in. It's a different country, different culture, different language.
It's not easy,
you have to make new friends. And you have all that to deal with as well. And then if you don't get stuck in and get into a good run of form early doors as well, then it can be a really, really difficult situation to be in. Obviously not been in it myself, but obviously imagining it.
Yeah.
And imagine what that would be like. It's like I say, it's not the easiest situation to put yourself in.
No, it's not.
So if you are mentally weak or mentally fragile, then you can, it kind of would explain Morata's situation.
It does, yeah. Southampton, just a big shout out to them as well, because Ralph is doing his thing. I still can't say his surname, but shout out to Ralph. Southampton recorded their first Premier League clean sheet since October. Get in, Southampton. Go on. Good on you. Fair play.
Well, they rarely troubled Chelsea. But Chelsea didn't do an awful lot going in the other direction
Chelsea,
either.
72% possession, I think it was.
Yeah.
People, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but...
I mean, if you're Ralph Hasenhüttl, you'll just... thank you. You'll just be encouraged, I think, by that. They didn't offer very much going forward, but, I don't think Southampton fans would expect to get a great deal at the Bridge. So a point is a very good result.
Look, they would have been buzzing with a point coming away from that.
And
absolutely
that, like
buzzing.
you say, that clean sheet as well means quite a lot to them, because they haven't had many clean sheets at all this season. So he's doing bits at the moment. Hasenhüttl, he's
changing the dynamic, isn't he?
Yeah, and we mentioned in weeks gone by about them doing more sprints, and sort of their pressing was a lot better. And you look back over Match of the Day, I was looking at the highlights. They're just putting in the effort. They're putting in the work.
Yeah, they're putting in a shift.
And they're getting better results. So
yeah, shout out to them. Very good result and performance. Right. Get adding us up, guys. Remember, IG @, Twitter @, all of that. We'll be back after this, and we got the rest coming up. Boom, we're back. All right. So from one South Coast club to another. Bournemouth. They had an excellent game, 3-3. Now, that game, I wonder why no one wanted to win. Because it was 3-3 after 40 minutes, and Watford, you'd think now going away to Bournemouth, would not necessarily struggle, but they'd find it tough. Bro, that was taking candy from a baby initially, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, how on earth Troy Deeney just had the keys to Bournemouth. I don't know what was going on down there, but
it was like for Troy Deeney, it was like just men amongst children, just boys for the.
He's like the year 11 against the year 7s playing football.
It literally was the way he just picked off his 2 goals. So it was like a defensive shit show in the first half.
I'm struggling to believe, right, that there's goals after 14 minutes, 27 minutes, 34, 37, 38 and 40.
Yeah, there's 4 goals in 6 minutes there.
Defensive coordination just out the window. Gone. See you later.
Yeah.
Don't give a fuck. We're not defending anymore. Jumpers for goalposts. That's what it is. They don't give a shit.
And in the second half, you'd swear they had a team of Maldinis in the back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like
weird.
peak Serie A, in it, where you don't score for like 3 weeks. Like, it's just insane.
Yeah, when that game reaches half-time and it's 3-3, you ain't putting bets on that. There'll be no goals in that second half. Yeah, especially with them.
Some guy actually probably put on, I think there'll be a few more goals in this, and he just walked away from the bookies. Fucking read.
But then, you look at Bournemouth, they got back into it on so many occasions. It was 2-0, back to 2-2, then 3-2, back to 3-3. You think, right, let's go on and win this game.
Just couldn't get over the line,
And there were chances, don't get me wrong, there were some really good chances. I can't remember who it was, and they made an absolutely unbelievable tackle for Bournemouth as one of the Watford players that was going into the box, and it was going to be a definite goal, probably the tackle of the season. If any Bournemouth or Watford fans remember that, please let us know who did that, because I literally said it is the tackle.
Ben
of
Foster
the season.
Actually as well made a tremendous save. I think it was for the first Bournemouth goal where the corner comes in, and I can't remember who actually headed the ball.
Nathan Ake.
Ake got the ball in the end, but they did the header beforehand, and Foster pulled off it was a world class save.
Yeah.
I deserve better than Ben.
Yeah. So crazy first half with the 6 goals as well. Just a little stat on that. That's the most goals, or the joint most goals scored in any first half game in Premier League history, equal with Southampton versus Villa back in 2015.
In Premier League history? Yeah. Really? Well,
where Mane, remember the game Mane scored the fastest hat-trick ever?
I vaguely remember
2 minutes 50 odd seconds. There were 6 goals in that first half, 5 from Southampton and 1 from Villa. It's equaled that record. But the second half, if you're sitting there coming out for that at half time, then you're going to be bitterly disappointed in that second half, aren't you?
Yeah, knowing Troy Deeney's standards that he sets, he very much has, I don't want to say an elite mentality, but he's got a very sort of different mentality to a lot of players that play along the same sort of level as him. He demands the best from everyone, and I've noticed that in the interviews that he gives and the way he conducts himself, he doesn't fuck around. Like,
did you see his interview after the game?
With that there.
This game here with it was him and Ryan Fraser.
I might have seen parts of it. I don't think I saw it all.
You need to see it, right? And if any of you haven't seen it, try and either look back on Match of the Day, or you could probably find it on YouTube. They interviewed, interestingly, Deeney and Ryan Fraser at the same time. And the size difference for one is like Home Alone, isn't it? It's like, it's quite funny, but they're interviewing Troy Deeney and asking about the refereeing decisions, and he literally just in front of the guy interviewing him and Ryan Fraser just said, I think the refs absolutely bottled it. And Ryan Fraser, you can just see him going next to him like he's literally shell-shocked.
I kind of like those, that interview setup where you have a one from each team. I kind of like that, because there's no room for complacency or being PC.
Oh, 100%.
Someone's getting offended.
And Deeney, you wouldn't expect anything less from him. But
and that's what I mean. His attitude. And maybe it's because he's had it slightly rougher than some Premier League players. Again, if you don't know Troy Deeney, I think he did a little bit of time, did a bit of porridge, did Deeney, and he's a tough motherfucker, man. He is a tough motherfucker, and the standards he sets, I think he just very much appreciates being a footballer, so he understands what it means to people. So he had man in a match, he'd be raging after his 2 goals that they didn't go on and get 3 points. He'd be fuming. But look, I mean, it's a very good game for the neutral. If you're a Bournemouth fan, you're sort of thinking maybe we should have gone on to win it. If you're a Watford fan, you're thinking how the hell did we get down from being 2-0 up to 3-3? But I mean, it is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very good game for the neutral. I really very much enjoyed the game. I know Wilson got on the score sheet again.
Fraser too, you picked him out earlier on in the season.
Yeah, I've said many times this season and pointed out Ryan Fraser's qualities. And he just keeps doing bits, doesn't he, Ryan Fraser?
Yeah, he's a very good player.
Callum Wilson as well has been involved in 14 goals this season. So it's 9 goals, 5 assists. The only English players that have been involved in more are Harry Kane and Sterling.
Really?
So just a quick side note, Callum Wilson, obviously he got his England call-up. Can you see him consistently getting back in that England squad and doing anything alongside Harry Kane? Because Vardy obviously has made way. Do you think he can be, sort of? Well,
Vardy's midway. Welbeck is long-term injury, and I think Welbeck's contract at Arsenal.
Do you think he's the next best thing to Kane then?
I mean, he probably
You've got Rashford as well, obviously.
I mean, I don't see why not. I think in order for him to maintain an England spot, he may need a bigger move. potentially. Well, at the Chelsea avenue is open, but is he a good player? Yes. Will he maintain an England spot? I mean, I guess time will tell.
Yeah.
I mean, put it this way, on this form, he deserves it, but then the year after next is the Euros, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if he can continue that form in there, and then, why can't he go to a major tournament and make an impact?
Yeah, no, it's fair point. Yeah, so, obviously, Wilson got the goal, Ryan Fraser got the goal as well. Obviously, Deeney's bagged a few, so I very much enjoyed that game.
Yeah, great game, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so where are we going to head over to next?
Do you want to do Huddersfield, Burnley?
Let's get that one out of the way.
Huddersfield. We don't really want to just get you out the way, but we kind of have to just get you out the way.
Yeah.
Just because you're on the fucking list, to be honest with you. Like, I kind of feel bad for them, bro, mine. I really do.
It came as no surprise, right, to see Huddersfield blow a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, okay? I know.
But what actually did surprise me was that they got into the lead in the first place. So when they were 1-0 up, I was like, motherfucker. I was like, they've taken the lead.
They've actually gone and had a shot on target. Wow. I know. I'm joking, Huddersfield fans. Don't take that to heart, please. Because I know I had it with Wolves fans earlier on in the season. I really don't need any problems of Huddersfield fans either. But the table reflects the position that they're in. 10 points only. Well, you know what? There's not a lot to say about Huddersfield other than God loves a trier. So just keep plugging away, and maybe you might get something.
Yeah, no, they've lost. There's a stat here as well. Huddersfield have suffered 8 consecutive league defeats for the first time in their club history, which puts them 8 points. Out of they're 8 points away from safety. Was what I was trying to say.
They may as well be 88 points away from safety, as far as I'm concerned, because they ain't staying up.
I know we wrote teams off earlier in the season. We said Cardiff were goners, but I think the evidence stacks up pretty well for Huddersfield. You
don't need to be a CSI to investigate this crime against football.
They're not just bottom in the league and in goal scoring charts and things like that. They're bottom in terms of their players dive the most, they get sent off the most, they create the least amount of chances, they score the least amount of chances, they can't hold on to leads.
Yeah,
it's one massive, just huge predicament.
Yeah, I know.
And I would go as far to say, and I don't think anyone can really argue that I think they're as good as gone. Yeah, Huddersfield.
Burnley on the other hand,
bit of a resurgence
great win for them.
Yeah.
Great win.
And you look at Dwight McNeil, okay?
I'm just reading about him now, actually, yeah.
He had man of the match.
Sounds like a guy who works in an office somewhere, Dwight McNeil.
Yeah. But he was excellent, and he was vital in the equaliser. And he, on many occasions, created a number of chances as well, which almost led them getting on the score sheet.
Yeah.
And I actually think that Sean Dyche brought him off a little bit too early as well, because he was having a real impact on the game.
Yeah.
The big question that I have to ask with Dwight McNeil is, this guy looks a little bit of a player, and for all of Burnley's struggles this season, why has he waited this long to get him in the team?
The stars just didn't align, I suppose, maybe.
So, you could, I would look at that and say maybe why has he not been involved sooner? However, he's here now, and he seems to be making a little bit of a difference. You got a young player with a bit of confidence, no fear.
I was about to say the same thing. Yeah, just doesn't give a fuck. Just like, you know what, give me the ball, give me the baton, and I'll run with it. I'll just make something happen. Yeah.
But Burnley have picked up they picked up their form a little bit. Before this game as well, they'd actually lost all 12 games they conceded the first goal in this season.
Really?
So they're turning their fortunes around in general. So they've picked, their home form has improved. They're picking up results on the road. The odd clean sheet, I think you're in there. So I think Burnley, after that really, really poor start, because they were bottom after 5 games, I think.
They didn't start well
at all, did they? Europa League didn't help. Expectations of last season doesn't help. But I'm starting to think that Burnley will be okay, actually.
Turn a corner, yeah. Ashley Barnes been involved in 3 goals in his past 4 Premier League games, 2 goals and 1 assist. Yeah. And he's going to be crucial for Burnley if they want to do anything this season. Because, goals win games, and games give you points, and points make you stay up. So, Ashley Barnes is going to be very, very critical to what they do. But psychologically, it's a great win for them. Going away from home, beating what you would call a relegation rival. Yeah, terrific. Fair play to Burnley. They'll come away very, very happy. We will very quickly cover United Newcastle. Not an awful lot to say, to be honest with you. It's relatively straightforward. I fully expected it. Good to see Lukaku back on the score sheet. Rashford is playing very, very well. Sanchez came on. He looked okay as well, which was good. There was one naughty tackle from John Joe Shelby, a.k.a. Voldemort himself. Fucking Voldemort. Well, honestly, what a tackle that was. I mean... Oh, Jesus Christ! Like it's assault. If you do that to someone right on a street, it is assault.
It's so high as well, and so vicious
assault.
as well.
It's GBH in some places.
Yeah, how he hasn't seen red for that, and I think we spoke about it a lot this season. When VAR comes in, he's off. He's going. He's getting his match.
Do you know what? Did the referee see it though?
I don't think so. Not fully.
Not fully. Because I was going to say, if he saw it fully, would there be any point going to VAR?
If he has seen that fully, then he gets sent off. Early bath, simple as.
Do you reckon, yeah?
I don't think he's fully seen that. The way Pogba spins as well when he's caught maybe makes it more difficult. I can't remember where the referee was positioned at that point.
I can't remember actually either.
But if he sees that, there's no doubt in my mind that's a red. But United weren't perhaps as free-flowing as we've seen them in the last 3 games, obviously away from home as well. Yeah,
it was a lot tougher than people kind of thought initially, yeah.
Yeah, and Newcastle were a little bit stubborn. United had to ride their luck a little bit at times. Phil Jones, to no surprise, was an absolute donkey.
Philip.
Luckily for Phil Jones, Lindelof was very good.
Now, quick segment on Lindelof. Again, go back and listen to other podcasts. I have been saying for months and months that he is United's best defender. In my last podcast, I said Eric Bailly is the African Phil Jones, and Phil Jones is the British Eric Bailly. Neither of them are any good. Lindelof is a guy to build a defence around.
Yeah, and that United defence and Lindelof himself would benefit so much from someone like an Alderweireld or a Godin or someone of experience.
Koulibaly.
Yeah,
that's the name going around.
Coming in, I think someone like Alderweireld would be perfect. Someone to come in alongside Lindelof, who's been there, done it, and just nurture him. And I think that would be the ideal pairing.
I agree.
Phil Jones needs to be nowhere near that United lineup.
He had so much potential. Do you know, in life, I hate to see wasted potential, whether you're an athlete or an entertainer or you're somebody that's generally just trying to, find their own way in life in your average 9 to 5. I don't like wasted potential. I do wonder what Phil Jones does on a day-to-day basis. If you've got access to a nutritionist, a physiotherapist, sports scientist, you've got guys that will make DVDs for you about the opposition, you've got coaches with years of experience, you've got family members to sit down with and talk to. What does he do? Why hasn't he improved since he was 18? Because he hasn't improved. He hasn't kicked on. And Sam Allardyce actually said that. So a couple of weeks ago, he mentioned he basically managed Phil Jones at Blackburn, and he said he's not gone on to be the player we all thought he would be. And maybe it's a lack of hunger or desire, but only Phil Jones knows.
For as good as Fergie was at decision making, he did say that Phil Jones, and he didn't mince his words with this one, he said that he could go on to be United's greatest ever player, or one of United's greatest ever players.
Yeah.
That is a massive statement. And when he said that at the time, and Phil Jones was coming through, and you could see, the bits of ability and things that he had, you kind of thinking,
so he looked like a younger John Terry.
Yeah, he did. He had the attributes of some great defenders, gone before him. So at the time, I was really, really excited to see where what sort of Phil Jones we were going to get, but it has just fallen flat on its face.
He falls into the Ravel Morrison category of shoulda, woulda, coulda.
I don't know if it's his own just sort of game management himself, whether his mind just isn't up to it. Maybe his body is. He's got certain, like Bailly, he's got lots of physical attributes that would make him a great player.
Yeah.
But upstairs, he's just, the lights are on when nobody's home, So.
Well, that's it, yeah. I mean, there's plenty of people who have been blessed with physicality and pace, and then there's people who are blessed with technique, and some people are blessed with both. So, I get the impression that Bailly is kind of is minimally blessed with everything, and Phil Jones, well, I mean, he doesn't. You look at Sergio Ramos, for example, right? And that's a perfect example I can give. Sergio Ramos, the way he looks after his body, he's a mean fucker, right? He likes to tackle.
Yeah.
But Sergio Ramos is very rarely injured. And this guy has gone on to play for Spain like 120 times. He's won World Cups. He's done everything. He's done absolutely everything. Phil Jones is barely getting in the side, and you have to think to yourself, use him as an example. Like, look after your body, look after yourself. Yeah. That's your occupation. Your main goal is to look after your body. I understand you need a bit of luck, but if you have access to all these physiotherapists and you've a free gym and you've got free nutritionists and you've got free everything, why are you always not fit?
It's a difficult question. He's not alone, you know. He isn't alone with this, but I wish I knew the answer because, like we said just now, Phil Jones, he had the potential to go on to be something special.
Yeah.
But it's not even come close to that.
No,
but you know, we spoke about United's defensive deficiencies in the last episode, and episodes gone by. Yeah. You know, we'll see what happens in January. Will they do anything about that, or will they wait till the summer? One thing I will say about United in this game was that under Mourinho, when we were seeing starts like this one where they looked shaky in the back, Phil Jones wasn't great. You know, the other side was having chances. United just looked flat. But what I will say is that even with all this going on, United did still look dangerous, and they were probing, you know, as they were going forward.
I like the fact that there's no Fellaini in the squad.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that Solskjaer said, you know what, we need to change this game. Mourinho would have brought on Fellaini and gone for the long ball, but he brought on Lukaku and Sanchez.
Yeah.
So completely different mindset.
Yeah, United just looked that even when they went forward, for as shaky as they were in the back, they still looked like that a goal could come from anywhere. Like Rashford, you can see that, you know, he was lively, Pogba was lively. So that's a better sign. Yes, again, you would say that the four sides they've played, none of them are particularly great sides. But like I said, last episode, you can only beat what's put in front of you.
That's very true. Big test is next for United.
And as soon as they did get the goal as well, they looked a lot more comfy.
Yeah.
And then when there was a really good counter to finish them off as well. So yeah, you know, it's at the moment it's a difficult one with United. Like you said, it's the Spurs game that's going to be the real acid test. But Rashford at the moment, again, he's got another goal. 10 goals that he's been involved in his last 9 matches. 5 goals, 5 assists.
Excellent.
And on the flip side to that, then Newcastle have lost 8 of their 11 Premier League home games this season.
Not good.
Only in 2012 season have they lost more at home in a single season. And that was 9.
We spoke about
up to that now.
Yeah, we spoke about Benitez, about when he decided to call it a day. Probably be the end of the season. Just to quickly put Reece in here as well, because he did ask us to say a quick question. We'll just give it a yes or no, because there's no point going into it in too much depth. We know Mike Ashley doesn't really give a shit about Newcastle anyway. Newcastle have not spent a penny in January for over 3 years. Oh, it was more of a statement actually than a question. Sorry, Reece. It was actually just a statement. Yeah, they won't spend any more, mate. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about that too much.
Just a really good observation from Reece.
Just very good observation.
They haven't spent money in January, and they don't really spend that much money in the summer either, Reece.
Yeah, they don't really spend money.
I don't really know what you're expecting there. So they're probably not going to sign anybody in January.
I'll have to ask him about that, because it wasn't really a question. It was more of a statement. But anyway, good result for United. Newcastle, well, it is what it is. They were never really going to get anything from the game. Okay, cool. So we'll skim through the rest of the rest. We'll quickly go to Wolves and Palace. I thought Wolves would have actually got something out of this, but Palace, to their credit, gone away to a very tough place. Left it late, might I add, to get the 2 goals. But the AU goal was a little lucky in a sense.
Great touch, though.
Excellent touch. He killed it dead, but Van Aanholt, I think it was, that put the ball in the mix. Drilled it in. Yeah, it was a hit and hope kind of thing. So sometimes you need that luck. And then Zaha showed what Wilfred Zaha is all about at the end, winning the penalty, and one of the most underrated players in the Premier League, Milivojevic, steps up. Now, boom, see you later.
I've got some interesting numbers in this one for you. I don't know if you
tell. Yeah.
Now, Wilfred Zaha, okay. Now he has won since the start of last season 8 penalties in the Premier League.
Okay.
Which is 2 more than any other player. Okay. Now, 78% of Luka Milivojevic's Premier League goals have been from the penalty spot. Right? So yes, he puts in some solid performances, but he scored 18 Premier League goals, which is a great return from midfielder. But bear in mind, 14 of those are penalties, and you've got someone like Wilfred Zaha, which is winning you pretty much all of these penalties. If Milivojevic plays for a Brighton or a Newcastle or a Huddersfield, they don't get any penalties.
Very true. It's difficult to say what type of impact he'd have on another side.
And we all know whether it's from a penalty spot or a free kick or a 1v1, putting the ball in the net gives you confidence. Okay, he's scoring goals. His numbers doing great. If he's on a goal bonus, then even better for
Milivojevic.
Milivojevic.
Yeah, he's getting at least 50 quid a season from goals. Yeah,
and I just
100%.
wonder that maybe not Huddersfield because they're absolutely terrible at the moment. But if
you couldn't pick a worse example than better.
But if he played for Brighton or like a Southampton or a Newcastle or I'm trying to go who else is down the bottom there somewhere.
Cardiff.
Cardiff. But if he plays for those sides who don't get that many penalties, maybe because they don't have a Zaha, who's has got the ability that he has to run at people, then he doesn't get anywhere near that many goals.
That's very true.
So I was wondering if he would have the same impact. I wonder
very
what you thought.
Valid observation. Yeah, that's true.
But we digress on that because Wilfried Zaha is in the team.
He is there,
and he is creating those penalties.
Maybe until the summer, at which Milivojevic might want to get another bonus in his contract.
Yeah.
Because maybe like a performance one instead.
I'm going to make a note of that. It'd be interesting to see if Zaha does go in the summer, how many penalties Milivojevic, how many goals he will score.
Andros Townsend, your calling has arrived because you're going to have to get them, son.
As if he stays, he doesn't stay anywhere long either, Andros Townsend.
Yeah, I think he'll stay at Palace though, mate. Well, maybe he won't.
We'll see. He gets
around, doesn't he, Andros? Yeah.
But another stat to kind of give Palace a little bit of credit is that they've actually had 8 clean sheets this season, which is bettered only by Spurs, Chelsea and Liverpool.
Excellent, fair play.
So more clean sheets than City, a damn sight more clean sheets than United, and some other big sides as well. So they do struggle to score goals, but they know how to keep them out. And you mentioned about going away to Wolves is a very difficult place. Wolves' home form is not the best at the moment. They've lost quite a few of their last couple of fixtures there.
Yeah.
The impression I get with Wolves is that their style of play is so well suited to play in the top 6 side where they can counter.
Yeah, instead of opening a side up. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
When they're faced with the teams in the middle and below them, they just seem to struggle to know how to set up against them, because this team's almost sort of show them a bit more respect then because of their results.
Yeah,
and I don't think they've quite worked out yet how to play on the front
foot. I
think
that might come with experience. Yeah, potentially. Yeah, and maybe a better quality of player. Not to dismiss the Wolves players now because they're actually very good, but like you said, there's not necessarily a plan B. It's like, okay, we have our plan, which is to soak up the pressure and counter. That's where we're at our best. But maybe we need just someone to pick the lock and have a different option, I suppose.
Well, it's like when you're chasing the game or you're defending and you're waiting for a counter chance and you've got space to run into. That's once it's a different way of playing. But then when you've got a team that's coming away from home, just allowing you to have the ball and saying go and do something with it, it's a different ballgame, isn't it? So
it is. Yeah.
As we've said over and over, Wolves will be absolutely fine. But it's with them when they're playing the lesser sides and the sides below them, you just don't really know what you're going to get.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, in fair play to Wolves, though. Like I said, they've done extremely well this season, so they've got a lot to be proud of still. But terrific result in fairness for Palace. Yeah. West Ham Brighton. I think this is the last game, is it?
Yes,
it is. So. Yeah. I again have said this in previous podcasts, and I'm going to state it now. Arnautovic could easily play for a top 6 side. Yeah. Not necessarily as a starter, and I don't want people to think, he's some sort of elite level striker. But if you want a guy in a squad who can come in, over the course of a season and get you maybe 15 or 20 goals in a side that's confident of winning, a bit like a Shaqiri, actually.
Just about to say that, yeah.
A bit like a Shaqiri. Arnautovic is that guy. United fans on Twitter completely dismissed him when Mourinho was after him. They're like, he's shit, he's crap, he's this, that, and he's the third.
Quality.
He is a very good player. I'm right thinking he played for Inter Milan for a while as well, didn't he? He has pedigree. He's a very good player. He's tall, he's strong. Technically, he's very, very good. His 2 goals were excellent finishes as well, and he's leading from the front of West Ham. I'm quite surprised that Brighton went there and took a 2-0 lead, but having seen West Ham try and defend corners, it was like Stevie Wonder trying to walk down an ice rink. Like, it was absolutely embarrassing. I don't know what's going on at West Ham, but let me tell you, set pieces, they need to work on them.
I'll address that in a second, actually, with West Ham, because I made a couple of notes on that part, but just to kind of echo what you said about Arnautovic, both of his goals are excellent. It was 2 goals in 2 minutes. So he single-handedly rescued them a point there. West Ham, another one like Wolves in a way, you just don't really know what you're going to get from them because all this quality that they got going forward, you got the Felipe Anderson, we said words on him. Very, very inconsistent. Now, that actually comes down to the defence, okay? Like you said, he pointed out the set pieces. West Ham have conceded at least once in the last 8 Premier League home games, which is the longest current run in the Premier League. Now, they're conceding goals like it's going out of fashion. Now, you look at that back four, okay, that played against Brighton. So you've got Zabaleta, long past it. Okay,
very much so, yeah.
Ogbonna, not good enough. Diop, not good enough.
Yeah.
The only one of that back four, which I'm, as a West Ham fan, or if I'm Pellegrini, and I'm kind of happy or okay to have Inez Cresswell.
Cresswell's a very underrated left back, actually.
I think he's decent, and on his day, he's got a very good game with him, Cresswell. So he's not so much the issue. The rest of that defence is the issue. Now, they did well in signing players like Yarmolenko, and they got Arnautovic previously, Felipe Anderson in January. If someone available, if there is someone decent available, like you look at someone like a Johnny Evans that's gone to Leicester. I thought he would have been better for them than for West Ham than someone like Diop.
How do you like the sound of Phil Jones, West Ham fans? would you take Phil Jones?
I will drive him there myself.
Somebody take Phil Jones.
I'll drive him there myself.
Yeah.
I'll even pay the fuel. I'll feed him on the way up just to keep him happy.
Yeah. Make sure he's got his ankles iced up and his calf muscles are all relaxed as well, because he'd probably arrive there injured. Like that's just Phil Jones in there. But yeah, defensively you are right in what you're saying. Fabianski's a solid keeper. I like Fabianski. Yeah,
there's no issue. He's made plenty of good saves this season.
Yeah,
saved them
he's
points.
acquitted himself well. Yeah.
But they're all for signing these talented players, and going forward, you have to pay attention to the players that they've got, because they can hurt you, and they are a threat. But you look at that back four of West Ham, and they've got real problems. So if they can strengthen in January, they need to. Otherwise, I think they might struggle with this inconsistencies to break the top 10.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Just a quick PSA: if anybody has seen Jack Wilshere, ask him if he's okay, because I haven't seen Jack Wilshere in an awfully long time. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know where he is. I don't know if he's alive. But if anyone does see him, just check up on him. Ask him, is he alright?
I know we're thinking about him.
Segueing very nicely into Jack Wilshere, West Ham have signed Samir Nasri. Now, if I remember rightly, they don't get on at all.
I don't think they do, no.
I don't think they do. That would be very interesting, because Samir Nasri is a very talented player in his day, but it's common knowledge that he is a bit of a bollocks. Like, to deal with, he's just not a nice guy. And I think when he left to go to Man City, obviously Jack is dyed in the wool Arsenal. There was a bit of conflict there from what I remember. I might be wrong. Again, let me know, Arsenal fans, if that's the case. But that's a confrontation waiting to happen. That is.
Well, you would imagine that they've had conversations before before he signed him, and they must have rekindled something and agreed to disagree, and maybe clean slate and see how it can go. So, like you said, Nasri's a very talented footballer. On his day, you can definitely bring something to that midfield. It'd be interesting to see the Nasri situation. It's one of those that it could go either way.
It's either gonna be great or it's gonna be horrendous.
Yeah, no, I agree. It'd be interesting to see that one, because Nasri's got some ability. So
he's got a lot of ability.
But then again, it's not the signing that's going to do anything to their back four.
Unless he plays centre half anyway.
Yeah, I forgot to mention earlier about Balbuena. They did sign Balbuena, and he's been pretty decent this season. But
he's been alright.
But when he's not there, the same problems still exist.
Yep, yeah, and shout out to Brighton as well. Great performance. Again, I think they'll be safe. There's not an awful lot to say really, other than the fact that they excelled at set pieces. Duffy scored again. Duffy's turning out to be one of the players of the season for them. Again, Duffy, continue what he does. He may get a bigger move. So best of luck to the lad. I'm sure he'll embrace it if he does.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. All right, cool. So player of the weekend, very quickly. Who are you going with?
I've gone with Arnautovic.
Good choice, yeah.
Just solely on the fact that he did it all himself.
Yeah, he did.
He's been away from injury as well. It's one thing to note. So Savage appointed his own for West Ham. It's made even more impressive by the fact that he's been out and just come back. He did just look dangerous all game, like he always does. And defenders are not really comfortable. Any defence that's playing against him are just never comfortable.
Yeah.
And the question I was going to put you, we kind of already answered it, was how much longer will it be until a top 6 side does take a gamble on him?
Who knows? Maybe this summer.
We'll see.
This summer, yeah. My player of the weekend, I'm going Troy Deeney. I thought, again, he was absolutely brilliant, led the line well. he's a terrific asset to Watford. His whole attitude, as I've said, we don't go over it in too much depth again, is just spot on. It's everything you want in a professional. So yeah, Troy Deeney for me. You had a few questions that people sent in as well?
Yeah, I just wanted to just mention 2 very quick talking points that have come up in the last couple of days, and then we've got one question from a friend of mine. So you've heard the news of Dominic Solanke.
Yes, Solanke, yeah.
So Bournemouth are going to pay, I'm going to pause before I say this, they're going to pay £19 million.
Is that fact or is that rumour?
That's a practically done deal.
Is it really?
£19 million. It's on Sky Sports TalkSport. Okay. I have 2 little questions within that. So first of all, how have Liverpool managed to get £19 million for him now, and why have Bournemouth paid this for him? So just get a couple of numbers on this. Liverpool paid £3 million for Dominic Solanke.
Where'd they get him from again?
He was at was Chelsea.
It was Chelsea. Shocked the whole Chelsea thing about youth players. Yeah, that's
he's
why
had 21 appearances. He scored 1 goal.
So, I don't know what to say to you.
So they've made a £16 million profit on a player that doesn't play, and when he has played, he doesn't score goals.
Yeah.
Now this is brilliant for Liverpool Football Club and Jurgen Klopp, because they've worked wonders with £3 million. I wish I could just go and send them a bit of cash. And please treble it, quadruple it for me, because that's exactly what they've done there out of absolute nothing.
That's the English tax that we refer to, though.
Yeah,
it's the cost of doing business with English players.
So then you look at the Bournemouth situation. The thing I don't get with Bournemouth is a club that not so many years ago were losing to teams like Darlington and Exeter and Rushden and Diamonds, or down there with the Swans. Now they're a club built on good values. They're developed and grown really well, play good football. I don't see why they aren't delving into like the lower leagues, like Championship strikers and League One, and actually maybe been a bit of a punt and paying less money on players who are just scoring goals.
Solanke has some type of pedigree, but he's
totally unproven.
Yeah, he's yet to do it at any level. Even in the Premier League, he hasn't done it at a Championship level. He hasn't done it at a Premier League level. At a youth level, he was very consistent. He was actually a very good football player.
Yeah,
but I mean, Solanke has it all to do.
Yeah, and just some examples. You look. Players that teams have got from League One. Dele Alli, £5 million. Joe Gomez came from Charlton in League One. James Maddison. You could be looking at players like Bradley Dack for Blackburn. Just to name another example. So that one does baffle me. I just wanted to see what your thoughts on that one were.
Strange one. I didn't know that actually till now. So interesting.
And the second one is Jermaine Defoe.
I heard this going to sign for Rangers.
He's on his way to Rangers, and I believe an 18-month loan deal.
Perfect place for him.
The question I have for this one is, obviously with it being quite tight at the top at the moment in the SPL, how much of an impact do you think that he could have? And do you think a huge impact. Do you think he could be enough to help them win the SPL?
Yeah, he'll get them over the line. Look, Defoe at any age, whether he's 25, 35, 55, 105, will score goals because that's just in his DNA.
Yeah.
The Retirement League, or the SPL as it's known, is perfect for him. Yeah, he'll go there. Look, Defoe's not stupid. He wants to go somewhere he can make an impact. He's not really at a Premier League level now. I think we've all established that. And go in there and potentially winning a trophy and maybe even playing Champions League football next season as well. Terrific for him. I'd be delighted if he did it, yeah.
And you can only assume as well that he's probably on quite good wages at Bournemouth, so maybe getting him off the books, bringing in Solanke for maybe less.
Rangers would have to pay part of his wages, yeah.
Yeah, I still think Bournemouth are paying some of that, but there's some sort of agreement there, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So Bournemouth fans, Liverpool fans, Rangers fans, let us know your thoughts on those signings as well. So yeah, it was interesting to see what you thought about both those bits of news. But
interesting.
Just moving on to the question that I had from Luke Edwards. So shout out to Luke for the question. Quite short and sweet on this one. He asked if Shaqiri is the bargain of the season at £13.5 million. And I've sort of added a bit in the end saying, if not, then who? So, do you want to answer that one first? Because I've given some examples.
That's an excellent question, actually. Bargain of the season.
Do you want me to give you my contenders to consider?
Go on.
Okay, so the first one that I thought of was David Brooks.
Yeah.
£10 million. Okay. And Willy Bolly for Wolves, $5 million, centre half.
I'll take your Bolly and raise him a Torreira.
Yeah, but
only because Torreira, what did Arsenal pay? 25 or 20? Give or take. I'll find his transfer fee now. Yeah. But the point I'm making with Torreira is not only is he significantly better than those players. I mean, Shaqiri could probably put him on the same level, actually, but what you'll find is Shaqiri isn't going to appreciate in value. I mean, none of us thought Dominic Solanke would appreciate in value, but I mean, somehow they pulled a rabbit out of a hat there. But with Torreira, let's have a look at his transfer fee.
The only thing I would just say in response to that, though, is at what fee does it get up to before it's no longer classed as a bargain?
Well, I think given the fact that Torreira it was under 30 million, Lucas Torreira will potentially be one of the best defensive midfield players in the world. And because that is such a niche position, 26 million, Arsenal could quite comfortably in a season or two command triple that. And he could go to a Madrid or a Barcelona. He's only 22. I mean, realistically, by the time he's 25, he could be worth 3 times that. And a much bigger club will come call in. So for me, it's Torreira to answer Luke's question.
The only thing I mentioned I would say to that is once you start paying above 20 and close to 30 million, I don't necessarily consider it as much of a bargain as such.
We shop in very different places, but aside
yeah, that's true. So Shaqiri is a very good shout there, Luke, and there'll be a lot of people that would agree with that. Based on what I've seen from David Brooks this season, I would be maybe inclined to say
good
Brooks.
Shout, excellent shout.
£10 million in today's market is very cheap.
It's nothing.
Shout out to Willy Bolly as well. He's been very good for Wolves for £5 million. That's an absolute snip. So I'm going to go with David Brooks, but all very, very good shouts.
Okay, cool. Right, we'll wrap it up there. Remember, gang, iTunes, Victory and Vices Podcast, YouTube, Victory and Vices Podcast, IG and Twitter at V&V Podcast. Add me and Becky up on there as well. We're always looking for new followers, always looking to interact. We want to build the brand up. We got plenty of content coming next week as well with the new videos, so check us out. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you subscribe. And that is us done for the Christmas and New Year period fixtures. Till next time, people, ciao.